Hi, my name is Jamie Woods. I'm the instructor for public and private investment analysis in the winter of 2015 at Portland State University. This is the second video. The first one you should have watched was on the syllabus and general rules of the class. This one concerns the online tools that we're going to use. And so primarily we'll be looking at D2L, what's going on in the wiki, how to schedule appointments, what do the quizzes look like, those kinds of things. So let's start off with the front page, and there is a box right here that has all these links. These are going to be rather important to you. If you remember in the syllabus, I'm really flexible about what book you use. As long as it says engineering economics, it'll probably work, so pick the ones convenient to you. But in order to figure out what it is that you're supposed to be reading, I've supplied you with the fourth edition table of contents right here. So if you click that, it's just a scan of the table of contents, so you can see what chapters you're supposed to be reading. So when the reading says read chapter 2, sections 2.1 through 2.2, oh, this is what we're supposed to be reading. You can find out what that looks like in your book. So the table of contents is there to make it so you can use other books just as effectively as you use the one which is quote unquote officially there for the class. Next link right here is for the online office hours. The idea is that because you're online, it means that you may not necessarily be on campus all the time, but you can still be there for office hours. I'll keep a Google Hangout with a webcam running during the office hours. If you want to join, just go ahead and click that, and you'll get something like this, except you will actually see a shot of a whiteboard that's behind me. You may see my head, and you may get people talking. But that's what we'll do in order to make it so you can easily come to office hours. Google Hangouts are also what we'll be using for anytime you have a one-on-one meeting a little bit later. Next item up is scheduling a meeting with the professor. So this allows you to find a 15-minute spot for us to meet. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just click on the link, and it gets you to a version of Google Calendar. Your calendar, your PSU calendar, should be overlaid on here so you can see where I'm actually eating lunch on the first day of class, when I have a department meeting. Your schedule will be there. The important ones are these little boxes that say appointments. And these are the spaces available for one-on-one appointments. So just pick a time that works for you, click the box, and fill in the appointment. Now, I am going to make it so that the where on these is always going to be online for all of these appointments that are here. I'm not going to be on campus from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So those are all going to be online, but I will be definitely available at home on the camera. At a minimum, you will see a couple of afternoon appointments right here. And you will see these 2 blocks of evening appointments. I understand a lot of you are more comfortable working in the evening, and so the evening appointments are there to accommodate you. You will see a little notice that's there whenever you schedule an appointment. The other big thing to worry about is some people don't have their time zone set correctly for their calendar. And so I've got some people that thought they were scheduling an appointment at 2 a.m. or something like that, and that's just because their calendar thought that they were in a completely different time zone. So make sure you're on Pacific time when you schedule these, and the notice that comes to you in the mail will say what time zone it thinks you're in. Next one up is a copy of the syllabus. I haven't put this term's syllabus up here, so all I have is a copy of the one from last term. And so it'll be there. Any updates or changes we make will also be there too. And then following that is a link to the EC314 wiki. So this is the thing where most of the information is. You'll have to log in first. I'm usually logged in because I work on this quite a bit. But it is where most of the material is in the course. This is actually a quick outline. We'll spend more time on this a little bit later. I just want to make sure I get through this box here. And then finally, there is a link to Piazza, which is the forum system we're using for you to ask questions. This should go directly to the page. In order to get to the course and all the question and answer, do yourself a favor and just click Piazza right there in the upper left-hand corner. It'll get you to the forums that go on here. So again, this should be easy to work with. What's nice about Piazza is that it is independent of the school. So when the school systems go down, whenever we have another D2L apocalypse or something along those lines, this will still work for communication. So its independence is the advantage that's here for me. This should also be the place that you go first when you have questions about a topic or about the class, because as long as it's not something intensely personal, please ask questions up here, because if one person has the question, lots of people are going to be asking the question. And that should be the end of these pretty key links that are right here. You'll also notice on the left is a bunch of upcoming events. By the time you guys have access to this, every single quiz and every single question should be up. The quizzes are scheduled so that you have some things due on Sunday at 5 p.m., some things due on Monday at 5 p.m., and some things due at Friday at 5 p.m. I've chosen those times so that I don't get the difficulties with students attempting to complete the quiz in the last hour before it's due, with the desired due date being 11:59 p.m. at night. There's no way I can help you at that point, and commonly I wake up in the morning with a series of text messages and basically a bunch of angry spam on the forums as people waited to the last minute and then suddenly didn't understand things. So these are set up in this way. You do not have to do them on the day that they're due. If you feel more comfortable working late at night, just do them the night before. Everything will work out well. You'll also notice things look like a little repetition. So there's an Accounting Documents 1 quiz right here. There's Accounting Documents 2 quiz. They're both pre-quizzes. These two quizzes are going to be identical except for order of answers in the multiple choice questions and parameters in the other questions. The idea is you try one, you have access to the quiz, you can see what all the questions are, you can work your way through it, and then you can take it again later on. It's separated by a day for those students who are busy procrastinating and writing deadlines. But again, all the due dates should be up on here, so nothing should be a surprise. Moving on to course content, which is where everything's supposed to be. Click on that little tab there. And as most D2L courses, material is divided up into modules. So you've got a first module that's there on class rules. There is a syllabus here, which is the one that you should already have a copy of. There's a math placement test. And let me open this and make it so you can see what's going on here. The math placement test is a Math 111 placement test. And one of the things I've found from teaching this course a couple of times is that when students have problems with the course, they primarily have problems because they don't understand some basic math concepts. And it's usually things like order of operation, that kind of stuff. And I just want to make it so that you can take a look at kind of the level of math is required. It's not very high. If you can do these, or at least half of them, without even thinking about it, you're going to be fine in the class. If you remember that at one point you could do about half the questions, get a review in and you'll be fine in the class. If this is seriously challenging you, you may want to consider dropping the course and choosing another one for the term. So this one here is what you're on your own to do to make sure that you can satisfy kind of the minimum mathematical requirements for this course. Solutions are there too. And the first quiz that you have to deal with is actually a quiz on the class rules. And this is primarily things over the syllabus, how do you schedule appointments, when are the due dates, what's the right pattern for studying. It's the kind of thing that we went over in the syllabus. A couple of things that are D2L related, primarily how to tell if a quiz has more than one potential answer, or if it's one answer is allowed, whether there's check boxes or radio buttons, that kind of stuff. Moving past the one into the quizzes that are there of substance. I'll pick the intro time value of money one. The modules are divided up into a couple of different sections. There is a first group, which you'll see they always are preceded by text, which tells you what parts of the book you're supposed to read. So this one says, in order to prepare for this section, please read sections 3.1 through 3.12 and 3.2 through 3.31. So they're pretty specific about what's going on. That's why the outline, the table of contents of the book is given to you, so you can match up those specific concepts to the ones that you have in your own book, the one that you chose. This one just happens to have two. Sometimes that happens. There's also things like suggestions about working through some examples. Beyond the required reading from the text, you'll also see some links to specific pages in the wiki. So this one here opens up into the page that's on the basics of exponential discounting. You'll see some videos. Videos are all required. You can think of them as the substitute for the lecture that's there. The videos are usually under 10 minutes. That's about as long as you can stay focused on something, so I've tried to keep it at that particular level. So you'll often see several of these on a page. Again, they are all required. So please watch these as well as read before you handle any of the questions. Moving back to what comes after those things, you'll find after that a quiz of some kind, which usually says practice, which is the next step. Practice quizzes, you can take as many times as you want. The answers are shown to you right away, and they don't count for your grade. These are actually used to be questions that did count for your grade. If you open up one of these, you get the usual dialogue that's there. It says, when did you start it, who you are, how long is available, is it available, how much is allowed, all that kind of stuff there. And just go ahead and start the quiz. The quizzes will show up immediately. Ding, here we go. And the idea is that it gives you an idea of the spirit of the questions, which you're going to see most likely in the pre-quizzes. The post-quiz is a little bit different because you'll see some longer responses there. Round buttons, radio buttons means pick one. And you'll see lots with pick one. If you see some things which are kind of calculation boxes like this, just go ahead and put in your answer in the box, the numerical part, $2,000.20. That's not the correct answer. Do me a favor, do not put in thousands separators. It confuses the parser in D2L. Furthermore, do me a favor and don't put things like a $sign in front, so don't put the units up there. Again, that also confuses the parser. Put the $sign, if you wish to, over here in the units, but it turns out we don't actually check the units. You can put things like cows in there and everything will be marked correctly as long as the numerical response is also correct. As you're working through, you can go ahead and save your answers so they're logged in D2L and you can get credit for them. Let's see, does this one have one with the square buttons? There we go, square buttons. When you see the square buttons like this, so these are the check boxes, it allows you to select more than one. Commonly, these questions require you to get all of them correct in order to get full credit. Sometimes it's number correct less number incorrect. So if you treat each of these boxes as true, false, you should be absolutely fine. And then finally, make sure you go ahead and submit and you should be good. There you go. And I'll go ahead and submit the quiz. On the practice quizzes, you'll see what your answers were and what the correct answers were right away. So the X just means you marked something wrong. The arrow points you to the right one. The numbers here are based upon the parameters that you have. People will commonly have different parameters. And then finally, the interpretation of the correct and incorrect for the practice quizzes on these multiple select. These are the ones with the square boxes. So it's not the radio buttons, it's the check boxes. It's kind of difficult if you think of each one of these questions as being true and false. An X means you marked it wrong, so this should be unchecked. A check mark means that you marked it correct, so it should be checked. A check mark here when you got nothing there means that you correctly did not mark it, if you get the idea. So that's what the practice quizzes are like for you. Moving back to the ones that counts, there are 2 pre-quizzes right here. Remember, these are the ones that you're anticipated doing first. You'll see pre-quiz 1, pre-quiz 2. These 2 quizzes are identical except for, again, order of questions, order of answers, and some of the parameters on those calculating problems. When you go to open these, only open them up when you have time to do them. In all cases, you're allowed 2 hours, but once you hit that start quiz button, boom, the timer keeps running. You may close it immediately, but the timer keeps on running. That means if you ignore it, you'll just go ahead and get a 0 on the quiz. So whatever you do, do not open up a pre or post quiz until you are ready to take it. Do not click it anywhere. Anyway, so this goes ahead and says this is what you're supposed to do, and we'll just hide that for the rest of it. You'll notice that the due dates are on 2 consecutive days. And when I'm calculating the score for your pre-quiz, I will take the largest answer on these 2 attempts. After you have finished the pre-quiz, you should have access to your score on it. You'll know the number of questions, you'll know the score, so you'll know how many questions you got wrong. And you'll also have access to the quiz that you took, so you can start working through those answers to try to figure out how you went wrong if you didn't get a perfect score. So the idea, looking at a module like this, is to first do all the reading that's there in the book, and then handle all the reading and watching you have to do in the wiki. Then do some of the practice questions. You kind of keep doing these until you get more and more comfortable. Do a review, hit up the pre-quiz at a time that really does work for you. This is an online course, so you're in charge of your testing environment. So if you require the room to be absolutely silent and desk got to be clear, go ahead and set up that perfect test-taking environment for yourself. If you prefer to do these at 5 a.m., do them at 5 a.m. If you prefer to do them at midnight, do them at midnight. But set up your own test-taking environment. Once you've done it once, take a look at the quiz because you'll be able to see all the questions afterwards, work through them over the course of a day, and then take the second iteration of that pre-quiz. So the idea is to do a long review of the individual questions there. Don't do it and go like, oh, it must be that one, and then do the second one again. There really is no excuse to get anything other than a perfect score on the second iteration. You have all the questions ahead of time. You should be able to do this. Following that is the post quiz. This is the one that you only take once. It is commonly scheduled on the Friday after these guys right here. And again, these will tend to be about the same length as far as the number of questions, but there'll be more questions with an open response. And so instead of, give me the number, what is the present worth? It could be things like, show me in factor notation what present worth is. And so you'll type in a box, or fill in the following income and cash flow statement to reflect, say, purchase of a car in 1 year and sale of it in another year, that kind of thing. There may be some additional videos that are stacked up there in order to help you out on things. So that's what that particular set of tools looks like. Let's go back to what you have for your big tools that are not in D2L. And those are going to be the course wiki, which is right here. So that link gets you to the outline so you can see all the topics that we have in the course. This is fairly comprehensive. It started out as just this outline and a link to a bunch of pages. On each of the pages, I did a quick outline, and then I started popping in these videos. Because it's a wiki, virtually all the text that you see here is going to be things which are generated by students. Also, please remember that this is a wiki, and if you need to, you can go ahead and fix problems. So you just go to the bottom, hit the edit button right there, and this looks like MediaWiki markup. So it's Not exactly what you see is what you get, but it is fairly understandable. So you can see that this one right here is a heading. These right here are bullet points and that kind of stuff. Don't mess too much with this because we got to fix it. Don't be afraid of breaking things. It is a wiki, so we can always roll things back. Just do me a favor. If you're fixing things, fix them. Don't break things and then expect somebody else to come and fix them. Also, do me a favor and don't plagiarize. That's a fast way of getting yourself banned. Anyway, I'll go ahead and cancel that. But these are what the wiki pages look like. So let's head back to the outline on the wiki pages for a couple of other features which aren't exactly clear given that this is an online course. There is the section We down at the bottom called Essential Skills Hints. And in other versions of the class, the hybrid version of the class and the in-class version, they have these little short quizzes that we're required to take to show that they can do certain things. You don't have to do those essential questions, but material in here could actually be incredibly valuable to you. So for example, if you take a look at the time value of money, one that's right here, so I'll click that and get us over here. This is a description of what the quiz looks like, but there are also things which have links to good YouTube playlists of repetitious ways of me solving very similar problems. This one in particular helps you out with learning how factor notation is supposed to work, which is something that we do in doing cost effectiveness evaluations projects. We have to find present worth and annual worth and all that other fun stuff. Moving back again to the wiki. Course outline right there. This is, again, fairly valuable to you. Lots of students say that this is more valuable than others. If you need information about a specific topic, so for example, if you're looking for something about interest rates, you can search through it and find it. Don't count on the search function, however, saving you in the middle of a quiz. Oftentimes you're going to find out that it's a direct search like this isn't necessarily going to help you. So for example, you look for interest, it goes on for 8 pages. Not going to be the most easiest way of narrowing down what it is that you're looking for. The Booleans don't work so well on the search, so it's a little bit harder to narrow things down explicitly. And that should be just about it on the tools. Please remember, all the deadlines are hard. You know all the deadlines ahead of time. If you get into trouble, schedule a meeting with me so that we can talk about some things. If you got questions which aren't personal, jump on to Piazza, ask the questions there. A student, TA, or myself will all take care of you in fairly short order. Just don't think the response is going to be absolutely immediate. Your big source of information is going to be the wiki, and there's a link there for you to join office hours that are regularly scheduled on Wednesday from noon to 1 if you're not necessarily on campus. But please drop by and see me. One of the worst things about teaching an online course is that the students have all seen me because they've seen me on videos, and I have never seen them. So winter term is when I end up with a lot of people waving at me, forgetting that I have never seen them. So drop by and say hi. I'll be here in my office unless office hours may on occasion get moved because of a soccer game. So sorry about that. Anyway, good luck with the class, and if you got any questions, pop them in the forum.